How's it going, folks? Recording my first best ball draft of 2026, but I did do about 50 pre-draft contests. Didn't really feel like making videos. The rookie class was pretty unexciting, as most people know. So hopping in here, and this is my 11th puppy I'm gonna do. So probably try to make another one of these on Sunday. We'll see. Um, Looks like we have pick five. So probably be locking in JSN unless one of the top four picks falls to us. I definitely have a kind of a tier of those top five guys. Then I actually have Justin Jefferson ranked six, and then CMC and Jonathan Taylor. So I'm pretty happy when I get a top five selection to just take one of these guys. I'll probably do some mixing between, Justin Jefferson, Jonathan Taylor, Christian McCaffrey, CeeDee Lamb, like all those guys at pick six. But if I have a top five pick, I'm probably just going to be taking one of those top five guys for now. Don't really have any desire to mix it up. So, a few things in this draft format that I think are a little different than other years. In particular, one big one is the QB position. It's just like, it's kind of strange because like the elite QBs are kind of priced where they normally are, with the exception of Josh Allen, even though Josh Allen's been priced up too, like in the past too. So I guess he's really not changed either. But like the elite QBs haven't really moved much, but the like non-elite QBs have moved up a lot because people are like panicked and they want to get three QBs a lot of the time. And like, so you just see these like crazy runs go on quarterbacks to the point where like guys that like in other years you might be taking in like the last rounds, like maybe like a Cam Ward, Daniel Jones, Bryce Young, like a rookie quarterback like Mendoza that might not start all year, like those guys would have been available in like, rounds 17 and 18 other years, and they're just not this year. Especially because there's situations like Pittsburgh has Aaron Rodgers, maybe they don't even know. And then you have the two Atlanta guys who people aren't that excited about drafting, even if they knew who the starter is. So the fact that you don't know who the starter is, like people really not interested. You have Jacoby Brissett and Geno Smith, who are pretty likely to get benched at some point in the season. Not necessarily even if they play bad, just because their teams might get to the situation where they don't want to win. Like, and they can just, kind of like soft tank. Like, they don't have to make it obvious and say, hey, we're tanking, but they can just start someone else. And, like Arizona has Carson Beck now, who they wasted a third round pick on. Like, I think at some point they're just going to shove him in there. So I'm going to take Neighbors or Derrick Henry. I do have Brock Bowers ranked ahead of Derrick Henry, but I'm trying to mix those two when it comes up because like I am ending up with a bazillion Brock Bowers. I have like 70% Brock Bowers so far through 10 drafts. So like I'm trying to back that down a tad bit, which means I'm going to have to mix some Brock Bowers with Derrick Henry. Just because that's where I have Henry on the running backs. I actually have Love above ADB, so I've been getting him a bit, but like I don't really feel the need to pull him above Henry because I'm still going to get plenty of Love because I have him ranked higher than the market does anyway. So I don't want to have like no Derrick Henry, even though I don't like him much as a pick. So nice that we get to start off with two wide receivers here. I think you can get some really good start. I mean, I would have went nuts if I could have got Brock Bowers at my pick. I think you can do some pretty good starts, wide receiver heavy. Not really trying to do as much of like the pure zero running back as other years because I just think that like you don't have as good options as other years in rounds like 8 through 12. So here we're going to look at Probably Devonta Smith, Tetaroa, McMillan, or AJ Brown. Not one of these running backs. AJ Brown goes. I've not been really getting any Devonta Smith because he got priced up. This isn't much of a fall. But sure, I'll take Devonta Smith. That sounds fine. I'm very much not interested in drafting Darnold. So even if I have Jackson Smith and Jigba, I mean, I'm open to it, but I don't want to make it a priority because one of the guys from the Discord, I think it was Moxie, pointed out that I had a lot of Darnold when I was showing my exposures for the pre-draft, and that wasn't something that I was trying to do. It's something that kept happening because I was targeting Jackson Smith and Jigba, and I was just falling into the I'll stack him stuff, but didn't really want to be stacking him with Darnold because I don't want 15% Darnold, which is what I ended up in the pre-draft contest. I want 4 to 6% Darnold, so I'm gonna try to save those for when things go wrong and I have Jackson Smith and Jigba. When I gamble at quarterback and lose and also have JSN, that's kind of when I want to go with Darnold as opposed to planning out ahead of time that I will be taking him. So right now I'm kind of hoping to end up with one of Dart or Hurts as my first quarterback. Hurts is pretty cheap these days. Pick 68. Should bring up the board. So if we want him, we'll probably we're right on pace to get him at 68. If we miss him, we could take Jackson Dart here, which would be ahead of the ADP and just not risk Dart going to 77. So I don't mind trying to push Hurts. This guy on the end here kind of only ended up with Igbuka as his first wide receiver. I would not be super comfortable with that. Buka's a little risky, but I feel pretty comfortable with him. I think there's a pretty big tier break for me, right at the top 26-ish players. For me, my player 26 is Love, who would actually be in this Bowers spot. But I feel after Love for me that there's a pretty big tier break down to this Jacobs, Brown, Smith, McMillan, Olave tier. You start getting the running or the wide receivers that these are more 1,100 yard guys, 1,200 yard guys, as opposed to the 1,300 yard possibilities with Nico and Pickens, and then you don't have quite as high of a ceiling from some of your other players. I'm going to go ahead and pull up Cam Scadaboo here to go with my Giants stuff. I have Scadaboo and Bucky Irving in the same tier, so I don't mind pulling up Scadaboo and going for the Giants stuff. If we do miss on Hurts, I am planning on taking Dart. I wonder if it's conceivable I could end up with both. Oh, Dart goes 87. For some reason, I thought he went higher than that. So we could certainly end up with both if we want to. I don't think I would pull up. I would take Dart at 77, not 68, if we miss Hurts here. For some reason, I thought his ADP was 77. I think just because I looked earlier and something about the 7 got stuck in my mind. Okay. I was going to windmill slam Colston Loveland there. But he goes. So I have David Montgomery a little bit lower. So I'm going to take Tootin. I think Montgomery's definitely slowing down in the years. And I know everybody thinks he's just going to come in and take everything. But I think Woody Marks is still going to be involved and take away passing down stuff. And so I don't love Montgomery's price. I prefer Cam Scadaboo, Tootin, Henderson, and Judkins all to Montgomery. Give me the year 2 guys. One of them will probably be worse than him, and 3 will probably be better than him. But I don't want to try to figure that out. I just would rather bet on the youth. I think Houston still has a bad line. It's arguably a bit better than last year's, but they also like lost starters, so it's hard to even tell how much better it'll be. Like, it probably won't be the worst in the league, but it'll probably be among the worst in the league. So, a nice thing about pulling up, Scattaboo is we have Scattaboo and Tootin, which probably won't be super common. I'm queuing up Hertz and Tyson. I would love if one of those two made it to me. Tyson does not. I would love if Christian Watson made it to me as well, but I don't think that's super realistic. I had queued Price, but he goes before me. I mean, maybe it is possible that Watson could make it to me. Oh, there he goes. So if Hertz goes here, it's going to be a little tough. I might go with Mekhi Lemon and build out my Philly stuff. I might go with Chuba Hubbard and just pick up another running back. I probably will not go with Marvin Harrison. Just, there's a lot of Arizona players going pretty early, and I don't love that. Especially for an offense that could be featuring quarterback Carson back later on. All right, so let's go ahead and take Hertz. Pretty happy with that. I'm still pretty interested in Dart, even though, that would be using a lot of draft capital at quarterback. But like I said, Hertz used to be around 4 pick. Now he's around 6 pick. I don't really mind using 2 middle picks on quarterback and just taking 2. I think it's better than trying to take 3 this year, because I think even the bottom ones cost so much this year that, I would just rather have 2 guys like Hertz and Dart than 3 of these Ward, Bryce Young, Daniel Jones, Atlanta guys. I just don't want to deal with any of that garbage. For Mendoza, who you don't know how much he's going to play, all that stuff that's going on there. What chances are there that Dart could make it back to us? Very little. Is there anything I have to have here? I don't think there is. I'm just going to take Dart. Now we can just be out of there. So if we want, we could try to get a 3 tight end room where we take kind of Likely and maybe Stowers and somebody else, but we'll see what happens. I'd like to get probably a wide receiver, Tony Pollard, on the way back, but we'll see. Tony Pollard usually goes, earlier than his ADP. Casey Concepcion, another guy I'm pretty high on. Don't mind pulling him up a little bit. He was a Cleveland guy, so there is that stink on him. Switch back and look at the board, see if we got anything interesting going on with this teams. So this Ibuka team says Ibuka and Odunze. I think Odunze was actually a pretty good get for this guy. With him falling back. Then he was able to pick up Warren, who I like quite a bit. I'm interested to see what he does here. Does he smash 2 wide receivers and kind of start to maybe pull away? No. Don't love that. But some of these wide receivers down at 108 and 109 pick that he's going to have are actually pretty good too, but I would probably want that to be number 4 and number 5. So I think he definitely needs to take a wide receiver here. All right, he takes Addison. I like Addison a lot. I was just talking in the Discord about how much I liked Addison. And of course, Juwan Jennings goes to visit the Vikings, so don't love that for Addison. if he were to sign there, which obviously he might not. We're getting pretty thin at running back, so other than Manungai, I don't foresee me taking a running back. I would be waiting. All right, I'm going to get a good pick here. I'm pretty happy about either way. We're still only going to have our 3 wide receivers that we took the first 3 rounds, but it's pretty okay with me. So I'm either going to take Manungai or Harold Fannin. If I take Harold Fannin, I'm probably just going to do 2 tight ends. So I probably will forget that other plan I had. Okay. So Manungai's cool. Would have rather had Fannin and went that route and kind of said, I'm only going to do 2 tight ends. But now I might still only do 2 tight ends, but more possibilities now. Obviously, Goddard is in play too. Like, I still like Goddard more than Stowers. Just Stowers is nice if you're going 3 tight ends because he goes super late. So it's nice to have him as the 3rd. Thing is that likely can be tricky to get because sometimes he just goes pretty far ahead of ADP. Like, his ADP is 140, but probably can't wait till we have like exactly pick 140. So we could risk it or take him at pick 125. So we'll have to see what's on the board at pick 125 and see what we're kind of interested in. Right now I'm looking at Kyle Pitts, Casey Concepcion, Michael Pittman. Don't need quarterback split up. I do like Kyle Pitts quite a bit here. I'm going to do that. Kyle Pitts opens it up for me to feel pretty comfortable about 2 tight ends if I were to get likely. Now it's just like, do I want to play the game of trying to get likely at pick 140? Or do I want to pull him up? Feeling decent about my running back room with Scatterboot, Tootin, and Manungai. Plus, like, all of the late picks I like pretty much are running backs. At 125, we might be staring down like Rashad White or likely, which could make it a little bit complicated. So we did start off 3 straight wide receivers, but we're kind of in like a mini hyper fragile build here with wide receivers. We will at least end up with 7 wide receivers. Just guessing the number we'll end up with. Could end up with 8, but that would probably require getting pretty lucky with likely falling to us at pick 140 or me paying up and taking him early. Wide receiver starting to thin out, but I don't want to like force it too much, so we'll see. If one of these 4 guys at the top of the board makes it to us, that would be kind of nice. And I also like Coker quite a bit. Higgins a little bit less so than Coker. I'd like to get one of these 3 wide receivers at the top of the board, but they could all go here. In which case, I think I'll probably just grab Coker. Good. We're going to get one of these guys, so that's nice. I'll go ahead and take Golden. I'm not a big Golden fan, but it looks like Green Bay has said we're going to roll Golden and we're going to roll Jaden Reed and Watson. And they kind of cut off all the rest of the fat from their wide receiver room. So if Golden isn't the worst, he will have a chance to prove it this year. I unfortunately think there is a possibility that Golden is the worst. So I'm going to consider pulling up Likely when it gets to our pick at 125. Likely would make me comfortable with stopping at 2 tight ends with Pitts and Likely, which would mean we could probably go 6 running backs and 8 wide receivers, or 7 and 7 if we wanted to do that. It's getting a little tough here though, because Jordan Mason and Rashad White are two of like picks that I love. So that makes me want to gamble a bit, but I really feel like we will not win that gamble. Okay, at least Jordan Mason won it. Yeah, Rashad White or Likely. I'm just going to take Likely so that I can feel happier about just taking 2 tight ends, and also has my stack. I just have Likely ranked much higher than consensus. I have Likely and Ferguson ranked next to each other. Sucks to lose Rashad White, but kind of hoping another player will come back to me that I like similarly to Rashad White. Not as much, but I don't really end up with Monungai too often, so it's kind of cool to have him here. I don't really end up with Chicago running back very often either, because Swift is a little pricey and I have him ranked a bit below ADP. So I think we're done at tight end, done at quarterback. If we're feeling like saucy in the last round, we could add Stowers, but hoping not to do that. Cooling my jets a bit on Brandon Ayuk, because that fucking guy does not seem like he wants to play football. He's like not answering calls from the 49ers still, which is a little bit whatever. But I guess there's other teams trying to get in contact with him too to see if he's like interested in extensions or whatever if they trade for him, and they fucking can't get a hold of him either. So I really don't know what's going on with this guy. I was clicking him a ton, and I'm just gonna chill the fuck out for a bit because it just seems like he's a lunatic. I don't know what's going on. So yeah, I am feeling like I will. This next pick will probably decide if there's any chance I'm taking 7 wide receivers, 7 running backs, or if I'm going 6-8. Because there's 2 players I'm locked in on, and depending on which one of the 2 I were to get, if I got one of the 2, that would probably sway the direction. So I'm either going to take Jonathan Brooks or Denzel Boston. If I take Brooks, I'm probably going to take 6 running backs and 8 wide receivers. If I take Boston, I'm probably going to take 7 and 7. Nice, we got Brooks. So that makes me feel a little bit better about missing Rashad White for pulling up Likely. Because it'll probably not be tons of teams, at least in this window, that have Likely and Brooks, since they're both basically the same ADP, which is in the middle of the board. I'm sure there will be more than one team, but it'll be less common than some other pairings than probably, White and Likely would be. Kind of interested in Juwan Jennings. He's been talking to the Vikings. He's been talking to Miami. Well, I shouldn't say that. He's been talking to the Vikings. Miami has wanted to talk to him, but I'm not sure that he has had any interest in Miami. Definitely going to take a wide receiver here, one of the top 3 guys on the board. Going to try to soft fade Brandon Ayuk for a little bit. Like, I'm pretty intrigued by him going to the Commanders, but yeah. If that doesn't happen, I just don't know what's going on with the guy. Don't know why he's not taking calls from these teams that might want to trade for him. I'm going to just take Boston. Pretty happy with that. That's what I was considering with my last pick, so pretty thrilled there. Now I kind of have more options if I want to go 6'8" or 7'7", or maybe even add Stowers if I want to. Because I got like a fifth wide receiver and a fourth running back, which I feel pretty good about. Which I was not really expecting. I really do like both Pitts and Likely though, so it doesn't really feel like the need for Stowers. I kind of want to like do Stowers, like say I had gambled and taken Rashad White and missed on Likely, and then taken like I don't know Hunter Henry or somebody later on. Then I'd like to add Stowers to Pitts and Hunter Henry, but I think Likely and Pitts has enough upside to just hang with the two tight ends. So we got a big giant stack going with one player from each position. And then we have Hurts with Devonta skinny stack. I think you're going to have to get a lot more comfortable with skinny stacks this year because of just the situation going on with the quarterback thirst and the fact like fucking Cam Ward goes in round 12, man, this draft. Daniel Jones goes in round 12. This is why I don't want to try to do 3 late quarterbacks because like there are no late quarterbacks, and the players that normally would fit this profile fucking cost you round 12 picks. I'm not saying that you need to do like Hurts and Dart, but like I would rather have like Hurts and Baker Mayfield than try to do 3 late quarterbacks or anything like that. Hurts and Dart is probably like about the most I would spend for capital. Just made sense with this team because I was doing the Giants thing plus I had Devonta Smith. But yeah, I'm really not trying to do 3 quarterback as much this year because the fucking cost is absurd. The Sims show that you advance better with 3 quarterbacks, but a lot of the same Sims as was brought up on the Flock draft that was done on that channel brought up the fact that for actually making the finals, the 2 quarterback was coming up better for them. Advancing 3 quarterback was coming up better for them. I wouldn't mind going with Naylor or Harris. Mike Washington's a bit past ADP, but like that's because his ADP is kind of bunk. Could consider Dontavian Wicks with one of my picks. I'm going to go ahead and take Emmett Johnson. I am like pretty hard fading Ken Walker. I just have him ranked so much lower than what his draft position is that like I really can't justify me taking him like ever. Because like I have him ranked down with like the Josh Jacobs, Travis Etienne tier. I realize he's on the Chiefs, but it's too expensive and it's too much projection for me. I don't think he's going to catch a ton of passes. I think Emmett Johnson's going to be in that role. I think Emmett Johnson's going to take some stuff away from him other than that as well. So I don't think the Chiefs offense is even that great anymore. Like going from Seattle to Kansas City, I don't see as like a huge upgrade. There is a chance that, he gets more goal line work and that like it's a workload upgrade for him, obviously. Like that stuff can all be true. But so I'm either going to take Trey Harris or Wicks here. Prefer Trey Harris, but like Trey Harris's opportunity with Keenan Allen out of the way in Los Angeles. He looked really good when he played last year, but he didn't play too much. So one of the late round guys I like a lot is Chris Bell, a rookie for the Dolphins. I think he has like pretty high upside. I think there's some chance to have the kind of like, I don't think he will be anywhere near as good as Amon-Ra St. Brown, but like a similar thing where Amon-Ra got dropped into this wide receiver room with Brashad Perryman and Tyrell Williams, who were like not that good players. So it took him actually still a little time to earn his role and then overtake them and then be like a beast down the stretch and win titles for fantasy. But I could see Chris Bell being like a lesser version of that. The problem right now I have with Chris Bell, why I would not really take him like every draft or anything, is like I said, they're known to have interest in Juwan Jennings. So I would like to see what happens with these free agent wide receivers. I think he would be a particularly bad one because of the role he plays being very similar to what I think Chris Bell is going to do. So I would not like it too much if he wound up there. Still have 3 more picks to make. 2 can be wide receivers. Doesn't overly look like we'll have, unless Wicks makes it back to us, which I don't expect to happen. Doesn't look like we'll be doing anything with stacking with them. If Bigsby makes it back to me, I'll probably team stack him with Hurts instead of Wicks. Wow, Stowers went a little bit early in this draft. So glad we're not on that plan because I probably would have gotten hosed. Yeah, let's take Tank. We have 4 Giants, so I'm probably not going to look to add any like other Giants wide receivers. There's like Mooney, who's like an okay option, but I don't love it. There's Malachi Fields, the rookie they drafted, but he's like a later round pick. Like I don't think he's that super likely to hit. So I think Flournoy is pretty underrated. Last year he had like a mini breakout as the wide receiver 3 in Dallas. I think if either Pickens or Lamb gets hurt, then he becomes like a really, really strong play. He's like one of the few wide receivers that has like kind of a strong contingent value to him. So I'm going to hope that he makes it to my pick. Someone did already take Chris Bell, so he's off the board if we wanted to do that. He went here to this person, Big Dog Luke. So I'm not real sure what I'm targeting for my final pick. Vele, you could do worse than. Jalen Noel, I kind of like a bit too. Like, Christian Kirk was pretty decent in that slot role for Houston. He could get squeezed out, though, by Tank Dell. There's Stribling, who I don't love, but was a high pick. There's Brazel, who's I would expect to beat out Leggett for the down the field role. We don't have to force a wide receiver here. We have like kind of more options available to us. So let's just start like the player I think is by far the best pick on the board. And then if he goes off, we will start to consider more people. I really like Kamani Vidal. He does go. I think Vidal is like one of the elite handcuffs. I don't think Keaton Mitchell's role is going to expand much. If there's an injury to Marion Hampton, I think Keaton Mitchell is a pretty limited player that's just a role player. Like, I don't have any interest in Keaton Mitchell for fantasy at all. He's kind of like a Ty Johnson or a Justice Hill type. Like it's not that these guys can never have a spike week because I've actually gotten a spike week before from Justice Hill to advance me in a playoff pod, but like that's just not the archetype of player that I really want to be like shooting for. I would rather shoot for backups that have a chance to kind of take over the whole role, like a Ray Davis, a Kamani Vidal, Brooks, Malik Davis, Chris Brooks, these type of guys. If I was like later on stacking with the Giants, I might take Malachi Fields, but I'm probably gonna like save the rare bullet that I'm ever gonna shoot there for when I'm in a worse situation. I guess I'll take Brazil. I haven't taken him yet, and he's past ADP, so sure. So we ended up with Hurts and Dart, obviously like 10 out of 10 for quarterback points. Running back, I don't think we did too bad. We've got Scadaboo, Tootin, Manungai, Brooks, Emmett Johnson, and Tank Bigsby. We've got some correlation with Bigsby and Scadaboo with their quarterbacks. Obviously, running back correlation with the quarterback doesn't matter so much, but it's a bet on the offense. That's not the worst. Then at wide receiver, we've got insane top end with JSN, Neighbors, Smith. Then we've got like a bunch of potential, but like who knows here. So however this plays out will probably determine, how strong this team is. Like this could end up with 3 massive hits or 0 massive hits. Don't really know. And then plenty good enough at tight end with Pitts and Likely. Thanks for watching and good luck in your drafts.